Just to give you a number, just McKinsey gets more than 200,000 applications every year. You know that McKinsey, BCG, Bain, Deloitte, Accentures of the world are coming on your campus next week, and I need to start my preparation. No, that's not how it works.
Was consulting always like this career track that was at the back of your mind, or did that happen after you got into school?
As I then went through my startup experience and worked closely with the co-founders, the one piece I quickly started to realize as a gap in my experience and skill, and also a desire that started to surface, was wanting to be in a position where I could see or be part of at least critical decisions that oversaw a broader piece. So that was the initial piece. And then, of course, you add to that the what I call perks of consulting, right? The global exposure, you get to work with really smart people. These are things I discovered along the way as I started to talk to people before consulting even became a goal.
Getting into McKinsey or pretty much any consulting firm is pretty competitive. How much of that is actually true?
I would say it is pretty competitive, right? Just to give you a number, just McKinsey gets more than 200,000 applications every year, and it selects approximately 1 to 1.5% of them. That's probably more competitive than getting into any business school, right? Harvard has an intake of 9% or 10%, but McKinsey has an intake of 1%. Don't wait until that, hey, you know that McKinsey, BCG, Bain, Deloitte, Accentures of the world are coming on your campus next week, and I need to start my preparation. No, that's not how it works. You need as much time as possible, right? So that you can pace your preparation. There are multiple levels to the preparation, right? Hey, stage 1, you get used to the entire aspect of consulting. Stage 2, you get better at a few things. Stage 3, you polish and reach that excellence in other few areas, right? So broadly speaking, there are 2 areas you need to make sure that, hey, first, your resume gets shortlisted. So your resume need to be solid. And the second, you have a good exposure into the interview preparation skills. You start as soon as you can, and typically I would say at least 6 months in advance.
An average consulting stay, I'd say at least 3 years. And this group will probably tell you anywhere from 3 to 6.
I think like one kind of interesting statistic I remember is that I think the average tenure of a consultant at McKinsey was about 2.5 years. So I think people would stay for around that time. I think the thing is that the longer you stay, the very steep learning curve that you have starts to flatten at some point. And what you also see is that, like, because you have this like accelerated career progression and learning while you work, you just get like better and better exit opportunities every year. And at some point, you're just at a stage where you're like, okay, I feel like I've seen this, I have the brand in my resume now. There's like great exit opportunities where I would have had to work much longer in other companies to get those. From what I've seen, I think most people stay for a couple of years, 2 or 3 years.
So I'm gonna apply for like a less competitive office to get in. I don't think it works.
I did worry a lot, thinking, is this going to, people will ask, why do I want to move to New York? I should go to the London office or the Paris office or Singapore, since that makes logical sense. However, I found that a firm like McKinsey and BCG also, actually, because I did interview and get an offer there, I think were extremely open to hiring regardless of which school you'd been to, as long as there was some fit with background and need, and the bar was the same. So I think that's true. And if there's a personal story, I feel like that also counts as a rationale to want to go to a certain office.
Like, how do your responsibilities or your day-to-day kind of funnel up?
But you start with everyone huddling together, and usually it's a group of 3 to 4 people on a call or in person, and you whiteboard the priorities for the day. And I think that just doing that every single day as a rep gives tremendous clarity to the team on what everyone's working on. And it's usually 15-20 minutes, right? And it's quite strict on the fact that you don't want to get into problem solving. You want to just lay out the tactical priorities. So you go through that. So you know where everyone stands, what you need help from the other person to unblock you. So that's one, sort of part of the routine. Then you all sort of go off into your worlds and you do what you need to do, which is usually a combination of expert interviews, or you're trying to get data from the client and talking to the client and understanding their problem. Client interviews, which is one-on-ones with senior stakeholders to understand their specific situation. Building hypotheses, and you usually do that by obviously reflecting on what you've heard and seen through the data and otherwise, and then bringing it back to usually a team problem solving, which is exactly as it sounds, right? So you have your whole team or the relevant folks involved, and then you have the partners, senior partners, junior partners coming in, and this is internal problem solving, where you'd sit and rethink or think about your hypotheses. That is, what's the answer to the big problem we're trying to solve, and why do we think so, and what are the big questions we want to address. So that's like a usually very intellectually charged, quite exciting discussion, about 30 to 45 minutes, typically called PSS in McKinsey, right? Problem solving sessions. And then you, again, disperse from that, go off into your own worlds, continue to push on what you're doing. And usually there's one moment in time, which is like a steering committee or a milestone that you're working towards. And that defines your end deliverable for those weeks or days. And so you sort of turn a document overnight with the team, and you come back the next day and start all over. But it's a combination of interactions with people, sitting and thinking through your hypotheses, debating your hypotheses, defending them, and then refining and starting again. So it's that whole machinery that works sort of really well, because you're doing it with people constantly and in a regular fashion.
Welcome everyone. My name is Amit Tyagi. I am the Associate Director for Admissions and Financial Aid at the Indian School of Business. FT Global MBA Rankings 2021 have ranked us number 1 in India, number 5 in Asia, and we are the only Indian B school in the global top 25 at number 23. So this is a digital head start module structure, which is the first 10 weeks of your class. This is held on an online platform, specially customized for this purpose. I want to talk about 2 campuses. One is in the northern part of India in Mohali, and other is in the south of India in Hyderabad. We follow a philosophy called one school, 2 campuses. So the PGP program at ISB is known for providing its participants a quantum shift in their careers. 79% of the cohort last year had a functional shift. Around 78.5% of the cohort has had industry shifts. We are ranked 3rd globally in salary growth, wherein it was 173% increase in average outgoing salary. Look at some of our recruiters, and we are very strong in consulting and technology. You pick a function, banking or media or e-com, and you will find that we have companies from that area recruiting from the ISB campus.
Tips for reapplicants who were waitlisted but were unsuccessful. What can be done to enhance their profile?
Don't miss out on applying this year, because you have almost made it, and reach out to us if you want a personalized feedback from us, and our team will be happy to do that for you.
What does ISB look for in a candidate? What makes a candidate competitive when applying for the school?
At ISB, we look at 5 key factors: your ACADS, your work experience, your test scores, the essays, and the letter of evaluation from one of your seniors. And all these 5 factors are fed into an algorithm which generates a profile score for the candidate. If your GMAT score is 700, then maybe work on your essays and maybe work on work experience better, because ACADS is something which is already cast in stone. You cannot go back and change it, but that also is one of the factors.
Is there a difference between round 1 and round 2?
Technically, there is no difference between round 1 and round 2, except for one thing, that in round 1 we have 100% scholarship opportunities available. In round 2, there won't be 100%, but you'll have 75, 50, 25% of scholarships available.
If a candidate does make it through to the interview round, is there feedback given?
We'll be reaching out to you sometime in the first week of July with an expression of interest on whether you want a feedback on your last year's application or not. If you register for it, admissions team member will reach out to you and provide you feedback from your interview round.
Did ISB receive a higher than usual number of applications for the year 2021?
Yes, the competition was higher last year. I can tell all the candidates who applied last year that you were part of a year which, you can pat yourself even if you made it to the waitlist stage or the interview stage.
Don't self-reject yourself. You're going to apply. There are certain things which you cannot go back and change as part of your application, but there are a lot of sections in your application in which you can showcase your best self.
My name is Laurel Grodman. I'm Managing Director of Admissions at the Yale School of Management. We aim to develop leaders who can think broadly about the challenges we face in an increasingly complex world. We are the most distinctively global U.S. business school. Yale SOM took the lead in establishing what we call the Global Network for Advanced Management, which really cracked open the opportunity for innovation in the global business education space. When you join the Yale SOM community, you truly are a member of the broader Yale University community and all the opportunities and privileges that come with that. The majority of our students will take at least one course outside of Yale during their time in school, and many will take more than that, getting a truly multidisciplinary, multifaceted approach to your business school education. One of the most popular courses for our students outside the School of Management is actually a course at the world-renowned Yale School of Drama in visual storytelling. So the courses at the heart of our integrated curriculum are called the organizational perspectives because they look at how organizations work through the lens of various constituencies. We have developed in-house a set of what we call raw cases, and these cases are big and messy and immersive and contain a ton of information presented to you digitally. And so you'll have primary sources and secondary sources, financial statements, interviews with key stakeholders, media clippings, and so on. I'll draw particular attention to, we'll be hosting an open house kind of week kicking off on July 12th with a number of events, including another school overview, an opportunity to do a walkthrough of our application because it'll be around the time that our application goes live. Opportunities to connect with others in the community. So I encourage you to check that out. We are looking to understand three primary things: your academic preparedness, your professional experience, and how you've demonstrated your potential to both lead and collaborate. And we're looking to understand how you are going to interact as a community member. This is actually brand new, hot off the presses. I don't even think it's published on our website at this point, but these are our application deadlines for the coming year. When's the best round to apply? If you feel like you are good to go and have that application in place, round 1 or round 2 is probably your best bet.
So how do admissions at Yale SOM view a candidate that has been laid off from a job and subsequently hasn't been employed for the past few months due to the pandemic?
I mean, maybe the unsatisfying answer is it really depends on the individual circumstances. But what I'll say is it's certainly not a universal deal breaker, if you will. Again, we understand that there are different circumstances in different industries in different parts of the world that are going to be affecting employment.
But if you were to standardize the profile of an SOM candidate or SOM student, what are the common skills and qualities that they possess?
What I think tends to unify our students is a sense of purpose. Is a real kind of unifying and energizing force, I think, among all of our students. Our students come with a sense of, I want to do something that has meaning to me, and I want to feel a sense of purpose above and beyond just making widgets.
My name is Adam Smith. I am a Senior Associate Director of MBA Admissions at NYU Stern. Stern's call to action is change, dare it, dream it, drive it. Change is upon us. It's happening every single day in business, and we want our students to be on the forefront of that change. EQ is one of the things that we not only look for in applicants, but it's also a skill that we make sure to develop while you are at Stern. These companies and that you see on the screen here are just a small example of some of the places that our students work, regardless of what industry that you are interested in, whether it be finance, tech, media, entertainment, healthcare, retail. Stern is there to support you. Your fellow students are a critical component of the MBA program, not only in just the career support aspect of the program, but also just in the personal relationship building component. Some of the things we look for are through your past academic records, standardized test scores, perhaps through your work experience, you can demonstrate that you are ready for an MBA curriculum. The second pillar is the professional component of the application. So this is where we are looking at who are you as a professional? What are your goals? Why do you want to go to an MBA program? And finally, the personal component of the application. And we're not looking for anything in particular. We're really just looking for you to bring you to the program. So the interview is a chance for us to get to know you. It's really more of a conversation than an interview. The application is now live, and you'll see that the first application deadline for each program is September 15th.
What goes into an EQ endorsement?
And so it is an endorsement from, we ask for 2, and one of them being a current supervisor if possible. There's a couple of questions, how do you know the applicant? Provide a piece of constructive feedback that you've ever given the applicant. And then we ask specifically about a time that the applicant has demonstrated great emotional intelligence.
Is it possible to get accepted into an MBA program after completing a bachelor's in business administration, if he or she has all the requirements, the undergrad result, GRE, TOEFL, except full-time work experience?
But that range is typically anywhere from 0 years of work experience to about 13 or 14 in any given class. So what that means is we do have students who are directly out of an undergraduate program. Demonstrate to us as an admissions committee why now is the right time for you to pursue an MBA program rather than waiting to get 2, 3, 4 or 5 years of work experience.
Anything that you can say about the new essay question coming up for this application cycle?
With that new question, we're just really looking to learn a little bit more about you and about your philosophies and what you're going to bring to Stern, kind of through the lens of that, again, our call to action: change, dare it, dream it, drive it.